This two-part series should hopefully bring the entire history of the tube map together, including all the tube lines, DLR, overground, all that good stuff. Just a caveat, all the station names are basically current day names because one, it was very complicated to do, and two, my head probably would have exploded. Anyway, enjoy. The history of the tube dates back to as early as 1843 with the construction of the Thames Tunnel by Brunel. This new tunnel linked the areas of Wapping and Rotherhithe together and would become part of the Overground 150 years later. By 1850, there were 7 railway termini around London, including London Bridge and Waterloo to the south, Bishopsgate, which is near the current Liverpool Street station today, and Fenchurch Street to the east, Euston and King's Cross to the north, as well as Paddington on its own to the west. And these stations all formed an important basis for having a new railway which linked them together. After much debate and construction, the world's first underground railway opened in 1863. The Met Railway linked 6 kilometres of underground track between Paddington, Bishops Road and Farringdon Street. It was a huge success, carrying 38,000 people on its opening day. A year later, this was then extended to reach Hammersmith and Kensington Addison Road, which was known today as Kensington Olympia. The success of the Met brought a flurry of new railway constructions and reports, and this is where the suggestion of an inner circle, which we know as the Circle Line today, was conceived. The following year, in 1865, the Met Line had extended further east from Farringdon to Moorgate and was also carrying out a city line widening project to double the lines between King's Cross and Farringdon. This would allow the London, Chatham and Dover Railway, as well as the Midland Railway, to connect its tracks from Ludgate Hill, which is around the Blackfriars area, to King's Cross Station, via the widened tracks in 1866. Westbourne Park also opened on the Met Line. In 1868, the Metropolitan and St John's Railway, which eventually became part of the Met, headed north on a single track to Swiss Cottage from new platforms at Baker Street, passing Lords and Marlborough Road, which are all closed today. It had also completed its extension down to Brompton, Gloucester Road, today, with stations at Paddington Parade Street, Bayswater, Notting Hill Gate, Kensington High Street, and 3 months later this extended further down to South Ken. Latimer Road Station also opened, and in the same year, a rival company known as the Metropolitan District Railway had built a line between South Ken and Westminster. A year later, in 1869, the District Railway had opened a single track to West Brompton and from High Street Kensington to West Brompton as well. Meanwhile, a rival operator known as the London and South Western Railway was operating a route from Richmond to Kensington Addison Road via Kew Garden, Brentford Road, which is now known today as Gunnersbury, Turnham Green, Hammersmith Grove, which is again an adjoining station to the current Hammersmith one today, and Kensington. It would then head down to Waterloo via Clapham Junction. Over in East London, the East London line crossed the Thames Tunnel, connecting Wapping to New Cross Gate. The District Railway continued expanding in 1870, secretly building the disputed Cromwell Curve from Gloucester Road to High Street Ken. East of Westminster, work had also undergone to complete the inner circle, with the line extending to Blackfriars. A year later, in 1871, the District Railway was suffering due to the expensive cut and cover section and dwindling profits, meaning they had only managed to expand 1 station east to Mansion House. Earls Court Station was also opened in this year. Meanwhile, on the Met Line, Royal Oak Station also opened, and this was also served by the Great Western Railway. In 1872, another rival company, known as the London and North Western Railway, was using a route known as the Outer Circle, which operated out of Broad Street Station to Mansion House on the District Railway via Wilson Junction and Earls Court. There's a video of this on my channel if you want to have a look. In 1873, Ravenscourt Park, known as Shaftesbury Road at the time, also opened on the London and South Western Railway. In 1874, the District Line had extended further west to Hammersmith, with a stop at North End, Fulham, later renamed West Kensington. Liverpool Street Main Line Station also opened at this point. The Metropolitan Railway extended to Liverpool Street a year later in 1875, and to Aldgate in 1876. Meanwhile, the East London line had expanded from Wapping to Shoreditch, as well as a short extension to Liverpool Street a couple months later. In 1877, a half-mile extension was added to the District Railway, connecting it to the London and South Western Railway route to Richmond. Similarly, the Metropolitan Railway built a spur connecting to the same line, extending to Richmond as well. 2 years later, in 1879, the District Railway kept on expanding, building a 3-mile extension from Turnham Green to Ealing, with stations at Acton Green, which is now called Chiswick Park, Mill Hill Park, which is now Acton Town, Ealing Common, and of course Ealing Broadway. The Metropolitan and St John's Railway, which eventually became part of the Met, headed further north towards West Hampstead and then Willesden Green. By the turn of the decade, the Metropolitan Railway had extended another 5 miles north to Harrow on the Hill. Meanwhile, the District Railway extended the West Brompton branch as far as the Thames. Stations opened up at Walham Green, which is now Fulham Broadway, Parsons Green, before terminating at Putney Bridge. Meanwhile, the spur to New Cross was added on the East London line. In 1882, the inner circle was still yet to be completed, but the Metropolitan Railway had made some progress, opening a section from Aldgate to Tower of London, known today as just Tower Hill, in 1882. A year later, the District Railway had given up completely on the inner circle, at least by itself, and began opening services in the west from Acton Town to Hounslow Town. By 1884, money was tight and the demand to complete the inner circle was increasing. A new joint railway company known as the Metropolitan Inner Circle Completion Railway Company was formed, and by 1884 the circle was complete, allowing orbital trains to run freely. Because of this, services on the Met could also extend now to New Cross. District line trains, on the other hand, extended to Whitechapel, as well as a link between Hounslow Barracks and Osterley in the west. The Metropolitan Railway was on a roll and had recently gained permission for a railway connecting Harrow to Aylesbury, with it reaching Pinner in 1885. In 1886, the London and South Western Railway operated the Wimbledon and Fulham Railway that started at Wimbledon, heading north before crossing the Thames to meet at the District Railway's Putney Bridge station. The line had intermediate stations at Wimbledon Park, Southfields and East Putney, where a junction was made to connect it to the London and South Western Waterloo to Reading line, just north of East Putney, which you can see in one of my Cycle the Tube videos. Hounslow Town was also closed and a new station, Hounslow East, opened in this year. Meanwhile, the Met was further extending out to Rickmansworth in 1887, running services directly to Baker Street. 2 years later, in 1889, money and local support soon became a problem, and the extension from Chesham, calling it Chorley Wood, and Chalfont Road, now Chalfont and Latimer, opened. This was only single track due to the cost and opposition. The District Railway had also gained running rights and extended some Putney services down to Wimbledon. 1890 was a huge year for the tube network, as the City and South London Railway was the first deep-level underground railway in the world to open, and ran 6 stops between the City of London at King William Street and Stockwell. In 1891, the Met eventually got some funds and took over railway services up to Aylesbury, and this is where Amersham was added to the map. Wembley Park opened in 1893 to cater for the additional commuters in the area, and by 1898, the Waterloo and City Railway Company opened the 1.5 non-stop link between Waterloo and Bank, known as City at the time. Fun fact, this was actually transferred to TfL almost 100 years later.